Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If you know what Putin will do, think of the worst possible human being and then you realize what would be the decision that kind of individual will make. And then you figure out what Putin will do. The same thing with the Russians. If you want to know what Russians do in Ukraine, think of the most atrocities, the biggest atrocity that you can think of, and definitely the Russians did it. You think about raping anything, not only women, anything, children, crocodiles, elephants and all that, they did it. Think about that. Only nuclear weapons they did not use yet. Maybe they did, but we don't know yet. You know what I mean? So this is what's going on over there. This is what we are expected to believe from this, the land of the free and the free mass media and the free world and all that. The Russians, all bad. We, all good. All right. So it was one time it was a God and a devil. All good, all bad. All right. Don't ask questions. That's the mentality you need to have in order to be in this, and this is what they want you to, how they want you to see the world. This is your worldview. And the problem, maybe it's not the problem because it's the benefit of the politicians, as someone said in 1920s. He said, lucky the politicians that the masses are dumb. And that's a reality. 40% of the society is below 86 IQ, which is retardation, isn't it? Yes, that's how it's considered. And then you have this big segment of the society that really thinks like this. And more than 40% of the society think at the same level as good and bad. Nothing in between. Good and bad, or sometimes the sinners, that's in between, kind of. But sinners starts from the premises that you are guilty of something that you can't escape. Anyway, like the Russians are guilty for being Russians, and obviously. So what do we have here? We have an article that claims that Putin, a traitor that he is, he will flee. He will leave behind his country that he allegedly fights for, and he's so patriotic, but because he's a bad dude, he doesn't really care. Here we say Putin doesn't care about Russia. He's just pretending. He's not a nationalistic crazy anymore because he's a weasel. So being a weasel, topples inhibits the nationalistic urges. So what is it gonna do? He's gonna fly. He's gonna run away. Where Hitler went. Right? Not there, but he flew somewhere. Can you remember where they said he flew? He flee to Argentina or Venezuela now. So now we have Venezuela and Argentina is always there. In South America, yes, Putin will leave his people because he's a traitor, he's a weasel. Okay, so that's the way you're supposed to think. Why? Because it's an aide who's in the Americans' hands and he says these kind of things. Do you believe it? I am very skeptical, let's put it mildly. But anyway, if you believe in Bam Bam, then that's it. That's the article for you. Putin has a plan to flee to South America if he loses the war in Ukraine, former aide says. So he's such an asshole, he just, saves his skin. After destroying all these people. Man, that's a bad guy. Do you think he almost gets to the level of the guy with the mustache, don't you think? This article comes from Business Insider from December 8, 2022. The Kremlin started coming up with an evacuation plan for Putin in the spring, a former aide said. Wow, it involves fleeing to Venezuela or Argentina, ex-speechwriter Abbas Galimov said. Putin first considered a plan to evacuate to China, but later rejected the idea, Galimov said. Russian President Vladimir Putin has a plan to flee to exile in South America if he loses the war in Ukraine, a former aide said on Tuesday. the Kremlin began working on a backup plan, unofficially dubbed Noah's Ark. Can't make shit up. In the spring, Abbas Gallimore, a former consultant and ex-speechwriter to Putin, in a Telegram post. What is a speechwriter? Do you think that certain things are discussed with a speechwriter? His role is Goebbels' role. That's his role, Goebbels, okay? Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda under the Germans' reign from the 30s to 40s. So his role is to fool us and make up stories and put things in a certain kind of context that influence our beliefs, opinions. So he has to write in a certain Weasel way, give it to Putin. Putin is going to read it, even though I saw Putin rarely read from a paper, maybe 1 in 50 times, to be honest. I've never seen that guy reading unless he was giving numbers. Like the economy did this and blah, 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 in those, 4 hours, 6 hours marathon speeches, that interaction with Russian and blah, blah, blah. You remember questions and answers, Q&A sessions that he had. That's when I saw him. But other than that, I rarely saw him reading something, unless these guys with teleprompter. Yes, I know you, yeah, bullshit, okay? So I don't know. Anyway, this is a speechwriter, a guy who writes in order to change and make it in a certain way. So don't you think that this could be a story that he's gonna tell so we can fall for it? That's his job. This is what this guy is doing. He makes up things look in a certain way so he changes your and my opinion. And I'm supposed to, I don't want to say he's a liar, but he's an artist, you know what I mean? I don't know, Shakespeare was nothing compared with this guy, or Dostoevsky, or all these guys, Pushkin or whatever. Okay, let's go here. It says that analysts do not anticipate Putin being forced from power despite the heavy setbacks in the Ukrainian invasion. This guy, Gallimov, cited unnamed insiders for his information. He has not worked for Putin since 2010 and is himself living in exile from Russia. He framed the evacuation as an extreme contingency plan. Well, let me tell you this. If I were Putin and I would have 87 IQ, not 86, I would not do this. Why? Because once you do this, you place yourself 100% at the whim of another guy, which is going to be Maduro or whomever, and you don't want to do that because those guys could be always pressured. Or you can do what Mossad, you know, the Mossad, the Jewish state's little KGB CIA counterpart. Yeah, they go and they look for the Nazi criminals and they just abduct them from different countries. Remember Eichmann, the doctor of death? Remember that guy in the 60s? Wasn't it in the 60s? The Mossad went, I think, to Argentina, grabbed this guy by the balls, put him in a plane with a pistol somehow, got him to Israel, and then they put him on trial, televised, blah, blah, and they hung him, right? So that's Mossad, all right? Do you think that the Americans or whomever, if they can't pressure somehow economically or militarily any country from South America, don't you think that they would just employ some guys like Mossad and get him out? I think they could, but I think Putin will do this, and I think this is the best option. Let's say he's losing. I don't know what that means, losing. The only way Putin gets out of Kremlin is arrested or died of natural causes or shot. Basically dead like that, or he's arrested by his people around him. That's the only way he gets out. He's not going to say, well, I lost, I'm going to pack my bags, let's get out. I don't think so. And if I were him, and I'm not, this is what I would do. I would prepare within Soviet Union, which is Russia, right? Going to Soviet Union. So in Russia is not Soviet Union. It was not Russia. I'm talking stupid shit now. So it's in Russia. I would get ready a little portion of a country where I have military resources, access, to sea, to transportation, and I would create my little enclave over there. That's what I would do. I don't know, by China, by whatever. They say we're not gonna go to China. Why would you want to go, to another person's, whenever the person is gonna say, well, I think this guy gave me a good deal. You can take Putin, you give me that. You don't want to let yourself be like that. And he's 70. How much longer do you think is gonna be around? Let's give him 15 years. Let's say, 15 years. Maybe he can survive 15 years, but 15 years it always depend on someone else. Instead of you being in control, and you make sure you got nuclear weapons, make sure you got economic connections, you close to a certain location on Russia that you can't be, blown up and attacked or whatever, and you have sources of communication. You have naval, you have sea access, you have routes that you can go through, let's say China, in case these guys put a blockade on you. That's how I would do, and I would get that little area, this territory, and it's gonna be my territory, and you can't attack me because I'm gonna be a little North Korea there, which means I have nuclear weapons and you can't do shit about it. And I'm gonna make sure I got the best nuclear weapons that I can hit whatever point I want. And I'm not gonna have 5 nuclear weapons. I will have about 200 or 300. Why? So I make sure that a few land where they're supposed to land in case you guys decide to shoot some of them down when you attack me. I mean, I would consider that better than being at someone else's, I think I'm gonna sell you Putin today. No, I'm not gonna do that. So I think this is bullshit. For the reasons I think and there's many other reasons. I can talk at least an hour about what could be possible, what would be better options than fleeing. To flee. Okay. Remember, they said the same thing about the other guy with the mustache in the 1945, and they take out of the context something because they think of good and bad, and being bad, you can't have access to certain kind of, qualities whatsoever. So being, Putin has to be all bad. He can't be anything good. He can't be, performing well in bed or something because he's bad. So bad, not bad, but bad like a evil person. This is a kindergarten level, but their audience is a kindergarten level, and they know it, and that's why they lower it, and they can sell whatever they want. They can sell sands to a Arab if they want. You know what I mean? So thank you very much for being with me again today. I think that this guy is just a whatever his name is, Abbas Kappa 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 Wakalaka. He's just a kakalaka, if you know what I mean. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.